You're watching the Tesla Life, live with your host, Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 322, August the 30th, 2023. August the 30th, guys. Another month is almost bit the dust. Yes. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And hello to the chat room. Derek in there first. Hockey Day. Kenny, Bussin' Boy, and David Watts has joined us tonight. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And we've got our regulars with us tonight. We have Mr. Casey Green joining us from somewhere undisclosed in the Mid-Atlantic, facing a storm. Facing a storm. How are you today, Casey?
Storm. Doing quite well. We're all prepared for the tropical storm and riding it out.
Riding it out.
Oh, man. That's scary.
That's not fun. Luck be with you. Hopefully you will not have to chase after your Starlink as it takes off as a kite.
Right. This is our first direct hit in many years. I think we had one when I was in high school. And thankfully, it was only also a tropical storm rather than they had predicted it was going to be still a hurricane when it got to us. I was like, ooh, I don't like being in town for those things.
Yeah. That's, the more downgraded, the better, certainly.
Yes.
Also joining us, Mr. Patrick Connor from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. Hello, Tesla Nation. And I'm happy to say we don't have we do have wildfires going on around here. There are dozens of them from Northern California up through British Columbia. So our air quality is not great. When you can stare at the noonday sun, that's not a good sign.
No.
So we've all got our issues.
and
and they're all related to climate change a little bit, maybe. I'm just guessing.
My goodness, the climate deniers were out in force today.
Wow, how much evidence do you need? Lame.
I don't know what they get out of it unless they are also like, their industry is making it worse.
Could be.
Yeah.
Well,
what's that saying? It's hard to convince somebody of something when their paycheck depends on them not believing. So yeah,
absolutely.
So guess where I was at today? I was at the Tesla service center, and I sold my snow tires for my X, and the guy was going to the service center to pick up, it's a service and delivery center, to pick up his new 2018 Model X. And so I met him there. So moments after getting his new X, he had new snow tires for it. So yeah, the timing worked out great because he was driving all the way up from Corvallis, and the Tesla service center is just a couple miles from my house. So that made it real easy to do delivery.
Nice. Very good. Very good.
Yeah, and now I've got room in the garage to buy new ones for the Y.
Right.
I thought you were going to say just to take your solar panels down off your roof, stack them nicely in your garage. You're so used to it at this point.
I just did that. Yeah. No, I don't need to do that again. I don't want to go through that again.
I guess not.
The one that took off from the backyard, not from the roof.
Hey, I'm gonna take the forum here for a little run because a breaking news story just happened before we went on air, and this is gonna get lost in the shuffle for next week if I don't talk about it this week. Jeff Don, who is the famous professor from Dalhousie University in Nova Scotia, Canada, has been working, of course, his team has been working with Tesla now for about 5 years. They're working on battery chemistries. They're working on longevity of batteries. They're working on better materials. And remember, long ago, they had said Tesla was aiming to get a 1,000,000-mile battery. They were after having a 1,000,000-mile battery. Well, they're going to have to come up with a new name because in a recent interview, one of Don's team members spoke to the media outlet, and of course, the link's in our Twitter feed if you'd like to read the whole story. But this team member had said, we've basically more than tripled it. They're now getting 3.7 million miles out of a battery pack.
1 million mile battery.
And they believe that this is not the ceiling. They're at about 19,500 cycles. which is way up from where they started from, sitting around 6,000 cycles is where they thought they were going to get to. So again, tripled, almost quadrupled the amount. So
Nice.
Congratulations to the DeHalsey team, and hopefully we'll see some of this start to leak into the battery packs as time goes along. It's not in Patrick's new car, but he was wishing it would be. No, it's not there yet. It's leaking slowly into production as they move things from the lab into production and lock these things down.
Gonna have to go for the Decamillion.
Right. Now we can afford to do all the Vita X's.
That's right.
Right. Yes. Once you hit the 1,000,000-mile battery mark, then you don't have to worry about degradation, and then you can start doing all those things: energy storage, V to G, V to V. Yeah, it opens up a whole lot of new opportunities. Pretty cool.
Exactly. Well, let's get rolling with the news of the day, and of course, there's a lot of supercharging news in this particular. And so we're going right to Mr. Supercharger. Mr. Casey Green is going to start us off.
MrSupercharger.com. I'm assuming you got a visual for us on this one?
Oh, yeah, sure. Make me do the visuals now that I just got this. You think this is a professional show or something? Come on.
So, Tesla's added standalone screens at the superchargers at Taiwan. And they kind of give you a nice little bit of what's going on around here. As my daughter says, she sees a closed door, she busts it open. What's going on around here? So you can see what each stall is up to, if it's occupied or unoccupied, how much each session has elapsed, and it's interesting. It looks like they repurposed some of their old showroom displays and and turned them into something a little more useful than storage items.
Yeah, so this was Taiwan's actual podium unit, right? Like this is a separate unit from the supercharger completely.
Right. Yeah. Do you want to just use the ones from the article then?
I'm just trying to pull them up now, Casey.
Sorry. 3 for a loop-de-loop.
I apologize. I had it up and I closed the screen by mistake.
So this is interesting because we've recently seen a small card reader appearing on some of the V4 stations, right? And so now to have this separate podium might be a way to retrofit some places where they don't want to change out the superchargers. Or I don't know, maybe this is just a proof of concept, or they're trying something out, or it met some local requirement. I'm really curious why they would have done this.
It sounds sort of like what California wanted them to do before they said, we don't want your money, we'll do it ourselves.
Yeah, I think this is a regulatory requirement government put in place where they said, you know what, we need a screen that's going to show certain bits of information, or we need some sort of touch screen that's going to allow the user to do some configuring on their own. Or again, I can't read Taiwanese, but it's got to be something along the lines where the government required it, and Tesla had decided, you know what, it's probably just easier for us in order to hold this market is to put a podium at the supercharger site.
Yeah, I wonder if these are going to be magnets for vandalism and other. It just adds to the cost. If you have a screen in your car or you have an app, you can get all the information you need without having this.
Unless they open the superchargers up to non-Teslas, at that point.
They can install the app and use it that way, or just the card reader.
I think the V4 implementation is a little more vandal friendly. Like it looks like a pay terminal, and they won't be bothering it.
Ooh, I just got a software. I just got a notification that I have a software update for the Y.
I got one for the X yesterday.
This is my first one. We've only had the car a couple weeks, so
there you go.
Live.
Yeah,
he's got it.
Right.
23.26.11.
Oh, there you go. At least you're not downgrading your car live on air like I did that one time.
Okay. I'll save this screen for a later thing in the show.
Hockey Day suggested to let you pick between regular, mid, premium electricity. But I think After looking at this, because I didn't have any visual reference before on Sunday, I think that after looking at this, I like the V4 implementation better. But I understand that there's no way to cleanly retrofit that onto a V3 station or.
It's got to be something that more information is required, because the screen size is so much bigger. It looks like this basically looks like a 10-inch iPad touch screen.
Yeah.
So,
and like I said, the stand it's in looks like their old showroom display.
Yeah, exactly. Something that you'd see
laying around
an exhibition spot. They're probably quite easy to come by, but it's as Patrick has mentioned, this is going to add cost to it because you've got something that's now going to sit in the weather. You've got something that is going to be possibly hit by a car because it's now in the open. You've got something that over time the screen may become washed out, can't see it, UV rays, all that kind of stuff is going to prey upon the equipment. And once something breaks or smashes, it's just going to be costly to replace them. And of course, some time lost to get them back. Although Tesla is pretty quick with Supercharger repairs, this is just going to add to the time and money.
I wonder if they could use Model 3 screens for that. They did for the CPAP machines.
Right.
Yeah. It could be that once the Taiwanese government sees this in action, and once they see what else is happening in other parts of the world, maybe they'll say, you know what, we don't need this because Tesla's solution in other countries is going to work, well for us as well. So, and maybe what we're going to talk about in the UK might be a solution. Who knows?
You don't want to put a screen in there so nice that people are tempted to break it to steal the screen.
Yeah. That is not the way to do it. Very good. Next, we've got another supercharging story, and that, of course, is talking about the UK. It gets its first, V4, right?
V4 with integrated payment terminal.
So that is... I think we got some photos of that.
No, I didn't mean to steal thunder. This one was on the docket. What I meant, I was trying to fill in while Mark got the image up.
That's okay. We can share this photo of the exterior, and you think I'd have this down pat, but you'd be wrong. So there we are. It looks like the parking could either be diagonal because of the line here.
Oh yeah, or that could be like Florence, where they just crosshatch it to confuse the fossils.
Maybe it's. Oh, look, across the street, they're over there as well. Yep. So you park. It looks like right beside it, as opposed to in between them. So that's a kind of a different view, but again, they got some other photos here. That of course is the little looks like a black and white display.
I don't know if that's necessarily black
QR
and white.
Code.
I've got a video of it here. I'm gonna switch screens on you here. Let's do share screen.
You know how much work he did to get this screen share going? Now you're just gonna hijack it from him. God, jeez.
There we go. All right, so let's make this bigger and play.
Tap and go. You'll notice that this is a contactless charger. You can also use it obviously with the Tesla app, but I haven't got that. So I'm going to pay here. Hopefully I'll get that £20 back.
Oh, you're not getting it back.
You get it back.
Consider it a donation.
As I said, little LC only take 64 kilowatts.
So not only is it tap and pay, it's also charging your non-Tesla.
Couldn't come
right.
here and not try it.
Which is really the only people that need tap and pay.
This is true. It's totally true.
Yes. Because in the UK, is it CCS plug end in the UK?
Yes, CCS2.
Okay. So they don't have, it's not the Magic Dock, it's just the CCS because everybody's CCS by regulation.
Right.
Yep.
because that's something they got from the EU before they.
But a
broke away.
different CCS than the one we have in the US.
Correct. A slightly
It's
better
not
one.
the US CCS.
No, that would be too easy.
Right. Yes. Let's have a standard, but make it different everywhere.
Yeah, let's have a standard that's not anyone's standard but our own. Yes.
Call it the same thing worldwide.
But we'll still call it standardized.
Oh, right. Yes. And we'll still we'll give it the same name, but it'll be different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
there's so much right with that. Yeah, there's just so much right with that.
Meanwhile, the two global standards, MCS and CHAdeMO, what are they? Job delivered.
Oh my god.
But they also can't do AC.
Yeah.
What a mess. What a mess.
CCS was a mess. It's not CHAdeMO was, yeah, even if it is a worldwide standard, I would not want that to be the worldwide standard.
No,
That thing is
not at all.
horrible.
Yeah, you're limited to 50
Okay,
kilowatts.
I've got a forklift I can put this in with. Oh, the handles broke again.
Well, the confusion here is the reason we got this is because they waited so long both times, so that they were hoping that Tesla would go out of business with the Roadster and J1772-2009. And then the CCS, it did finish before the Model S came onto the scene, but it was at a point where if Tesla had asked their suppliers, hey, we need to change them to these things, they would have been laughed out of the room. Plus, then the car would have been late, and they would have gone out of business.
Yeah.
If you understood any of that, then you know why he is Mr. Supercharger.
He is deep in it, like deep in it.
That's why I get excited about plugs.
Our next story, we're going to talk again about a supercharger. Casey's well aware of this.
What?
I'm going to bring up a picture here, actually a little website that we talk about all the time. Supercharge info.
Supercharge.info.
And you should be seeing the map right now.
Yeah.
So here we got Los Angeles area. Over here we have Phoenix. And in the middle, we have a little place called Quartzsite.
Arizona. It's a very
Quartzsite.
popular Apton area.
And you can see as you zoom into Quartzsite, which is just an extremely small little town, two exits, and there's 2 red dots that have appeared. Now, just by chance, I happened to charge at this 36 stall Tesla Supercharger when I was driving to California. At that time, there was only 12 chargers there. And I believe 4 of them were one of those mobile ones on skids.
Oh, nice.
So they've upgraded to 36 now. But just kitty corner to this, we now have 84 new stalls at 250 kilowatts that Tesla has put in across the road, basically. So you've got a few fast food restaurants hanging around, and you've got these 2 gigantic superchargers now with over 100 stalls between them that are on the, looks like, I guess this would be the west side of Quartzsite, Arizona.
They'll need
That is pretty cool.
Kick off because, man, thousands of people just descend upon the town at random intervals during the year. And once they open up the superchargers to all these other supercharging coalition members, woo, they're going to need them.
Yeah, and another cool thing about this site is that some of it has the solar canopies. So they haven't got a lot of photos of this yet, but this just opened this week. These 84 stalls, and not all of them went live immediately. A group of, I believe, 50 some went, and then the other 30 were lagging behind. But it does have 84, and again, across the street is 36. And of course, this is a main thoroughfare between Phoenix, Arizona, and Los Angeles, and lots of people are traveling this route, just like they would be from up to Vegas, kind of a similar route. You've got this halfway point where these superchargers are available to you. So very cool. Like
I said, all the events that happen in the town. So
right. The nice thing about having them at a little town like that is it's going to be used by people who are passing through. You're not going to have a whole lot of people that live there that are camping at them and using them for various things. And then with 2 sites, I know they're not going to do this, but it'd be funny if they made one of them open to non-Teslas and kept the other one to be Tesla exclusive. So it's the snobby Tesla owners can chat
Tesla
with ourselves.
Premium.
Yes, that's where the premium electrons
one
are.
of the events that happens there is it's like a camping convention. It's like,
Exactly. So yeah, that's great to see. More and more superchargers opening up. Not a surprise, but always nice to see, especially these mega ones opening in areas that definitely need it, based on the travel that goes on.
Yeah.
Next, Park's got a story, and it's about VPP.
That's right. You down with VPP? You know me. Okay, so this story comes to us from TeslaNorth.com, and it's titled Tesla's Virtual Power Plant to Power Texas Grid for the First Time by Sarah Lee Jones. We've all heard the stories about Tesla's power grid being fragile. The methane lines freeze up in the winter, causing outages, and then the massive energy demands from air conditioning in those hot summer days again causes outages. So now there are 2 Tesla virtual power plants that have been qualified, and this is a first for the region. And maybe, just maybe, this will help keep the lights and the air conditioning on. And we're dependent on electricity in a lot of ways, especially during horrible heat waves. So this could literally be a matter of life and death. So PUCT commissioner, his name is William McAdams, praised this and said, harnessing small energy resources from homes and businesses across Texas not only amplifies grid reliability, but also offers Texans an opportunity to earn by selling their excess power to ERCOT. So yeah, we've talked about how you can actually make money selling back to the grid. Here, for me to take energy from the grid, depending on the time of day, it costs anywhere from 4 cents to 14 cents. But when I give back to the grid, I get $1.70. So that's quite the arbitrage. So instead of just calling this a VPP, though, they went with, not Tesla, but the Energy Commission went with calling this an aggregate distributed energy resource, or ADR. Okay, whatever. Yeah.
They really don't want people to know what it is.
Maybe not. Yes. So the 2 participating utilities are Houston's Central Point Energy and Dallas's Encore Electric Delivery Company. So if you're in Houston or Dallas, you should check these out. And my first thought was, why not Austin? Isn't Austin Tesla's HQ? And reading on in the article, they mentioned that there are 6 more VPPs that have applied for the program, but these are the first 2 that have met the qualification requirements. So maybe Austin or some other spots in Texas will be coming online soon, and you will be hearing about it here, I'm sure.
Yeah.
so why doesn't having Tesla Electric count as a VPP in Texas?
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. Because we actually have already seen people doing VPP stuff through
Tesla. Making $100 a month.
Right. So you're right. Yeah, we have definitely seen that.
These are new areas that have opened up, though. I don't think, like with the first program, it was limited to a certain geographical area. Dallas was not included. So this is them
and here you're
opening
not
up
changing your electric company. You're using the one you already had.
Exactly. Right.
But still, how does that make them first?
Well, depending on your definition.
Yeah.
This is the first one through these companies.
We're the first ones. This is the first time we ever announced this.
You can do it without changing your power company. I'll give you that.
Yeah. So before you had to be in the unregulated energy zones to use Tesla energy, and here I think these are regulated zones that are under the commission's control. So I think that's why it's first, because it's under this umbrella of yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, first, depending on how you define first, is always a first.
Very large values of first.
Yes. Oh, always. Oh, there's an implied asterisk after first.
Speaking of
give them their moment.
Sorry.
Speaking of first, there's going to be a Tesla train arriving at Giga Berlin shortly. So we've talked about this. We've talked about this Tesla train previously. that was going to be built out. The spur line was going to be built right into Giga Berlin. They were building a people station for people to arrive for work. And the details of the station have been released. It's not quite in use yet, but in the next couple weeks, it will start. The train will start to deliver people. They're going to be delivering about 4,000 employees to their jobs on a daily basis. So this train is coming from further up central Berlin. It's going to allow people that live and like to live in the city to hop on a train and make their way to their job, which is going to be fantastic if you were commuting and used to a lot of traffic on the thoroughfares of around Berlin, which I'm sure is quite populated. And as in most metros, there's going to be traffic jams and problems. With a straight direct train drop off, it's going to make life a lot easier, where you can just kind of hang out and do your own thing for the 20, 25, 30-minute ride and arrive refreshed at your job. So even without FSD. So these people will have the ability to start taking the train shortly. It's supposed to start up in September. So
awesome.
Good news that the Tesla train will still, I really hope they put a big T on the front locomotive. I don't know if they will, but to have the Tesla train marked, I think would be very cool.
So 2 things. Is this an electric train?
No, I don't believe it is, because the photos I've seen of the actual station, I don't see any gantries over top of it for electrical wiring. I don't see that. That may be the case, but in the photo I've seen, there's only one photo I've seen online of the station. That's not all that impressive, which is why we didn't even share it today. But there was no sign of it. But Europe is big with electric trains. Maybe it's just kind of hidden.
Right,
you know me, I definitely am big. I want a future free from fossil fuels, but of all the things to get rid of first, it's not. Electric trains would be great, but there's so many things that pollute more per mile or unit of distance traveled or per occupant that the trains are pretty low on the list of the things that we need to improve. We definitely need to improve them, but I'm not going to give them crap for even if it is a diesel engine.
Well, the reason I was thinking it was, my understanding was they just bought the line, not the train, so they would have to buy a train. So it's interesting they would have bought a diesel train.
They could be leasing the train too. Like let's face it. They not be purchased the train because it would make more financial sense for them to lease it from a company that is their core competency to keep a train running.
Gotcha.
Right. So here in my region, we have a train that goes from the Beaverton area down to Wilsonville, and it's a passenger train. And we have a lot of light rail. And so, but that train is a diesel train. And I was like, why is that a diesel train? And actually asked that on then Twitter, now X, to TriMet. They're the ones that operate that train. And they said that on those tracks, they have to have a specific class of train. And that was only available in as a diesel train. And so depending on what the German regulations are, it may not even be an option in that area.
Yeah. And boy, do we know the Germans have regulations.
Yes, they do. We've learned that over the years. The other thing I was going to suggest would have been funny and really pissed off a lot of people is if they had made this a surface level boring loop. Like no tunnel needed.
Yeah. I can't even surface level boring loop blows my mind. That's it's a box without walls. I mean, I
don't get it. They'd also be able to use FSD there because there's no regulation saying you can't use it on the ground.
And boring and tunneling almost got a perfect into our next story, which of course is about the Cyber Tundra. Yeah. So let's share a photo here of a Cyber Tundra. If you're not sure as to what that is, here we go.
Somebody else owns that name. You can't use that name.
I will say that I liked the Cyber Lightning a little better implementation than this one.
So this, of course, is Tesla trolling the auto industry again, and this time Toyota Tundra. They did a wrap of the Cybertruck and made it look a little bit like the Tundra. So I'm wondering where the Ram is. Are we going to see the Ram next? Like there's some other vehicles out there.
Silverado.
The Silverado, yep.
Right.
And I'm wondering if the rollout of the actual Cybertruck, if there's going to be some sort of, sharing of these in the background. Are they gonna do the trolling live on the presentation day at all, or is this just for fun in the field?
Look like a normal truck, and we decided that you guys decided that it was not a good idea.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do anything to you on the big event day. You don't want anybody talking about Toyota Tundras or some others. So it's that day is going to be that'll be Cyber Day.
So that is very cool though to see them trolling like this all the time. So
it is funny.
And speaking of trolling, Patrick's got a story about the Hardware 4, which Elon has kind of told us two things. And I think Patrick's going to explain a little bit as to how that is.
Yes. Okay. So during a recent, all right, let's start over. Drive Tesla Canada brings us this story, and it's titled, "When Will Hardware 4 Get FSD Beta?"
Yesterday.
Not until 2024, says Elon Musk, and it's by Darren John. Yes, and that we will get to that point, Casey. So Elon Musk revealed that owners of cars equipped with the latest Hardware 4 full self-driving kit, hardware kit, won't get FSD Beta for at least another 6 months. So Tesla first released Hardware 4 in the Model S and X in March of this year, and they've then expanded it to Model Ys a few months later. And there was one catch with that, however. These cars that had Hardware 4, even if you paid full price for FSD, were not coming with FSD Beta. That's because the cameras and the computers were different. The FSD software had to be migrated to this new hardware. That meant training sets, data needed to be collected, other things needed to be done. And right now the team is working really hard to get things working on Hardware 3. So doing any porting of this stuff is a distraction from the day they can say, yes, we've got it working on Hardware 3. So it wasn't their priority. However, when Project Highland and Cybertruck come out later this year, Tesla's entire passenger vehicle lineup will be Hardware 4. So they can't wait indefinitely for Hardware 4 support. So what did Musk exactly say? In a tweet or an X, he said, Hardware 4 software will lag Hardware 3 by at least another 6 months, end of quote. That has room for interpretation. That could mean that Hardware 4 will get FSD version 11 any day now, and that support for Hardware 12 will roll out 6 months after it comes to Hardware 3 vehicles. But when Musk says it'll take 6 months, I get worried. This is from the guy who says 2 weeks.
Everything
and
is
it can take 3 months. So what does 6 months mean in Musk speak? Well, I mentioned
6
earlier.
years.
Oh man, that would be bad. I've zoomed in here a bit. This is the. I don't know. Can you see that?
Yep, can see it.
Out of the way. Okay, yeah. So this is the update that I just got, and I've zoomed. So it says full self-driving. Come on, focus here. Focus. There we go.
Yep.
Yeah. So I just got it's version 11.4.4. So maybe it's not the latest that's available for Hardware 3, but I've got FSD Beta, baby.
Yeah, and that's a lot quicker than 6 months.
Exactly.
In fact, that's a lot quicker than 4 days. So that's really good.
And
yes, that is awesome.
The article was dated the day before yesterday, so like the title weird at the time.
Right. Yes.
So obviously Musk's was interpreted a little bit different than what was happening, because it's come a lot quicker. But again, as you mentioned, it may not be the top tier of FSD Beta, because Hardware 3, they're working on that to lock it in first.
Right.
Or it could be another case of the company not listening to him when he says stuff, which in this case was fine, but in other cases makes people upset.
Or someone who is diligently working behind the scenes is like, oh, really? Okay, I'm going to go home and take a nap now because I've been up for 26 hours. And I'll release this next week.
Right? So yesterday, my car downloaded FSDBeta 11.4.7. But if you were not in that group of people who was on that branch, your car might have started downloading also FSDBeta 11.4.4, but with modern MCU software instead of from the 7th week of 2023, like the rest of us.
Yes.
Chumps.
They're eventually going to have to get these on the same.
They're going to branch them together.
When you're doing software development, maintaining multiple branches, it's not impossible, but it adds overhead to everything.
But sometimes it's required, right? Like sometimes you cannot get away from it. You know, that may be the case.
But Tesla
could have teams.
Yeah, and in this case, though, they found a solution is that the car just has both copies of FSD, the people who aren't in beta and the production. And then if you opt into the beta, it will just load in the beta version instead of having two separate software builds with both separate versions of the code.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm excited. And right after the show, I'm going to be able to go and test out FSDBeta with the new and improved cameras.
Absolutely.
And I'm really curious to see. We just talked about how Musk said that hardware 4 is going to be behind. But if the cameras are that much better, they might slowly find, hey, it's working a whole lot better here. And maybe that's where they'll start putting their emphasis over time.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to have to, like you said, because Highland's going to be coming out, Cybertruck's going to be coming out. They're all moving to hardware 4. Hardware 3 is going to be left behind at some point, just because the company's moving ahead. They're not moving backwards.
Or even better, if they programmed it correctly so that it can just jump into, hey, I'm in Optimus spot. Okay, I need this type of interpretation. Oh, I'm in a Cybertruck or semi truck. I need to have this interpretation. Oh, I'm in a Model Next. I need to everything's to be a lot closer together here. This would be the time.
What's the difference
for that?
What's the difference in cameras, Patrick, in resolution? Was it it went to 5 megapixel, I believe, but what did it start at?
1.2 to 5.
1.2
Say it again?
to 5.
1.2 megapixels to 5 megapixels.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, 720p to like HD, good HD, almost 4K.
And when you're trying to see things at a distance, that really helps.
And speaking of computing, Patrick's got our next story, and that's about the DOJO.
That's right. Yeah. So with these new cameras, they're going to be collecting even more data because they're higher resolution. And to process all that data, you need a computer, not just a computer, a supercomputer. So this, again, comes to us from Drive Tesla Canada, and it's titled, Tesla turns on DOJO supercomputer, accelerating full self-driving beta training by Matt Wilson. And before I go any further, I want to say something. This article is wrong. I made a huge mistake, and we'll talk about it at the end. But I know if I jumped right into it, there would be a few people going, that's not right. Maybe I should have let them pound at their screen for 2 minutes while I read this stuff. But I didn't want to go that way. So, all right. So here's the summary of the article. Tesla officially turned on DOJO on August 28th, 2023. This is a massive supercomputer dedicated to AI training from video data sets. DOJO is an in-house design, and it's at the level of supercomputers that are normally only done by governments and national labs. Doing things that were previously only done by governments is not new ground for Musk. Think rockets. So Tesla is not stopping their purchases of hardware from NVIDIA. So much like their battery strategy, they are buying externally and building internally. So there's the short summary of the article. Here's what it was based on. It was based on a tweet from Tim Zaman, I think is how you say his last name. And the tweet, it looks like he is a Tesla employee. And it says, Tesla AI 10,000 H100 cluster go live Monday. Due to real-world video training, we may have the largest training data set in the world. Hot tier cache capacity beyond 200 petabyte. orders of magnitude more than large language learning models, or language learning models, the LLMs. Okay, so that's what the tweet was, and that's what he based the article on. But that's not DOJO. DOJO's like Whopper. What? Yeah, don't. Do you want to play a game? No. Okay, we're going back to this article. This is funny jokes distracting me. This is an NVIDIA cluster. It says H100 cluster right there in the tweet.
Right.
I mean the X. Right. So if you don't know what an if you didn't know what an H100 was, that might confuse you. And you think, oh man, this is a supercomputer for video. That's DOJO. But no, H100 is a professional GPU. So it was released in March of 2022. It's the successor to the A100, and it's 30 times faster than that version. And Tesla has been using A100 clusters, and they're still using their A100 clusters. Now they have this new, faster H100 cluster, and it's used for AI and high-performance computing workloads. So if you're familiar with NVIDIA's graphic line 3000, 4000 series, this is like the professional version of those. And you're not playing video games with them. You're doing this kind of compute with them of video, doing matrix math, essentially. So that's, and if you're curious, this beyond 200 petabytes of hot tier cache capacity. So 200 petabytes is a huge number. It's 2 followed by 17 zeros and 5 commas thrown in just for fun. If you're into Common Core math, that's 200 quadrillion.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, that's huge.
And training sets. And so I went to look at my data usage for the car for the last 45 days. And it's downloaded 3.96 gigabytes. You know, no big deal. It's a DVD, right? It's uploaded 20.5 gigabytes. And this is, I work from home. So I don't drive that much.
You don't drive a lot. Oh, yeah. They are really interested in what your car is seeing.
Here's Casey's garage again.
Or maybe when I do take it out, I see a lot of stuff that they like, oh, we should probably note that down too.
Right? You're not in, California where it's swimming in Teslas.
Are you playing a lot of speed buggy in the garage and it's thinking that the car's driving because the wheels are moving?
Well, they did say that they are now evaluating drivers with this hidden, not just safety score, but their own internal metrics to determine which drivers supply the best data for training, which is not necessarily, who gets there the fastest or whatever. And there was, I don't remember where I saw this. They found something that only about 5% of people actually come to a complete stop at stop signs. And they have to train their car to come to a complete stop because they'll get, nits on them right away.
They already did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you're not stopping it completely, your data is not going into that training set, even though they might be collecting it. They're filtering it.
Yeah. At least it's substance.
Right. So Casey, if they're sucking down, you must be a great driver. We need. Yeah.
I was one of the initial people to pass the safest drivers test, and I stop at stop signs completely, and I signal in parking lots.
Wow.
The car doesn't even signal turns.
They're trying to make it drive like Casey. Casey's going to be everybody's chauffeur.
Yeah,
he'll be Mr. Supercharger and Mr. FSD. And then if my car makes a wrong turn, I can complain to you.
You call Casey.
Casey, why did you do that? Come on, drive better, Casey.
So I did notice that on this version, it still wants to drive down the center of residential unmarked roads. And it still has that late signaling, but it's a lot smoother at starting and stopping and turning. So something has happened.
Yeah, I actually kind of like it driving down the center in my neighborhood, just because if somebody jumps out between cars or whatever, then you've got, if you've got kids or pets or whatever running out, I want that extra room. And if it's a residential neighborhood, you can see if somebody's coming.
Yeah. And the car can too. It will move over.
Exactly. If
they're speeding, it might not do it in time for them to be comfortable with it. One, they shouldn't be speeding, and two, it does move over. And
exactly.
If they're aggressive and impatient, you can manually take over.
Right. So at first that bothered me. It's like, that's not how I would drive here. Why is it driving differently from me? And then and also, so now that I've gone from driving to actively monitoring with my hands hovering at the wheel, I like that because that gives me more reaction time to take over and to stop it or hit the brakes or swerve or whatever I need to do. So I'm thinking about it that way of how am I a better supervisor of the car? I'm happy it's there.
I also noticed that most of the neighbors actually just drive down the middle of the road anyway, as well. So,
so maybe that's just how it was trained. Yeah,
right.
I still don't like the fact that it cuts into the bike lane when it's going to make a right turn.
On 7.
Yeah, there are times when that's actually the right thing to do to make sure a biker doesn't come up on your right when you're going to turn. But you don't need to do it when you're
1,000 meters out,
5 cars back at a red light, and then you're going to block the. No, come on, wait until you're up and you're going, and then you can make sure you do it to keep them safe.
Nuances that have to be programmed into DOJO, definitely.
Yeah, there are millions of edge cases.
Elon and whoever was in the car with him, which we assume was the head of
Ashok
of AI, that you don't have to program it anymore. You just let it watch you drive for thousands of hours.
Yes. Yeah, so we should talk about that. The whole end-to-end neural net, which is what they promised us at AI Day 2 years ago, is now there in version 12. If you have humans coding things, and there have been autonomous drive challenges with Stanford and other schools competing it since the 80s, exactly right. And it took them a long time to be able to get it to just drive across open desert because it'll encounter something, it'll get confused, and then you don't have a special case for that, and it just crashes. So it's to add yet another corner case, workaround, deal with special situation, all human coded would be impossible. And so all the lines of code they had in to handle those things, they're like, no, that's never going to be the final solution. The final solution is going to be by AI. And that was true with image recognition. There were similar contests with image recognition where people were trying to code, is this a cat? Is this a person? A hot dog or not? Whatever. And they got stumped at something like 70% of what humans could do, until they went to AI. And now AI can do handwriting recognition better than humans. It can do language translation better than humans, language detection, especially with a bunch of accents and other, if there's ambient noise. So eventually these problems are solved by AI and they're better than humans. And I think self-driving is going to be absolutely the same. The only question is when. And I think version 12 is the first time they actually have the right formula to make it happen. But before, they've been going this way, but they haven't been able to get there. They've been training limited and other things. And I don't know how many billions they've spent on the hardware they've got for training. But you have to be able to process all this data. And that's the only way you're going to get there. And now they've got all the vehicles out to collect it. They've got the better cameras with hardware 4 we just talked about. And they've got this new cluster coming online that's 30 sometimes faster than their old cluster. So, and then DOJO coming after that, and the data center they're going to build in Austin. So they are definitely on the path to get there. I don't think it's going to be this year by any means, because I mean, like I said, they just got to where they're actually finally doing it the right way. That's going to take, I don't know how long. But, well, on this show been talking about 2027 is the year I think it's going to happen. And I'm going to stick with that prediction, and I hope I'm wrong and it happens sooner.
Right.
I hope, yeah. I want the Bob Barker method.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peace out, Bob.
Elon said they deleted 300,000 lines of code. I don't know how many are left, but that tells you something right there.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Because most of those were like, okay, yeah, drive this way. Oh, and unless this happens, or that, or this other thing, and then you have all these exceptions and error handlers and all these, how do you recognize this and that? And what if a bird flew in front of the camera? That's not something you slam on the brakes for, or whatever. Don't worry about shadows. You just cannot code all of that manually. 300,000 lines is a good attempt, but we saw the result. Not quite right.
Right. And David's asking if the non-FSD Teslas upload driving metrics. And yes, but yes, if you have there's a section in the settings where you can say upload data to Tesla.
Yes, you can data share or not. Your option. Yes.
Yeah. So
and then if you do have that enabled, if you've got the hardware, they can put shadow mode on there, and they can say, "Oh, we would do A, you did B. Who's wrong, us or you?" And so, yeah, you can actually, if you're sharing your data, you can absolutely still contribute to this. The only thing is, if you actually have FSD beta, then if you correct it, you can voice annotate it. So you're probably probably more likely to collect that data if you're in the program.
Dirty legacy user like me.
Right.
Next,
They
we're
don't care. They're
going.
like, oh, he disengaged. We'll figure out why later.
Next,
Sorry, I
we're
went
gonna
on a
talk
big
little-
rant.
We're going to talk a little bit about supercharging in Europe. Casey, what's that about?
Yeah. So, Europe supercharging has turned 10 this month. And
10 years old?
10 years
Like,
of supercharging in Europe.
I can't believe that's been 10 years.
Yeah, they had a little celebratory video about it, and now your supercharging is going to be free for this celebration.
Yeah, which was yesterday. It's over.
If you look at your bills from yesterday, you might notice some big old currency symbol zeros or zeros currency symbol, depending on your local customer.
Here's a question that 10 years just made me think of. When was the first supercharger installed for Tesla in California? What year was that?
2012.
2012. Okay. So Europe got a supercharger in 2013.
Just a year later, yeah.
Wow.
Well, months. Yeah.
I wonder if it was in someone's backyard. No one knew it was there for 5 years. It just seems like 10 years in Europe. It just seems that's remarkable. I didn't think it was that long, but
so yeah, the first one in the U.S. was at SpaceX. It's at the Tesla Design Center that's right behind SpaceX.
Yep.
And when I drove down to San Diego, we stopped there, and that was when they had the Hyperloop test tube right next door. So I got to see the Falcon 9. I got yelled at by security for trying to drive over there.
Yeah, they don't like that.
Yeah, and he said, no, you can just go park, and then you can walk around on the other side of that fence and check it out. You're not going this way, buddy. Yeah, and so I don't think they have superchargers at that location anymore, though. At least not publicly accessible.
They're not public if they are still there.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
The design studio has banned public use. Probably something to do with SpaceX being there and it being concerned for security. So that was
because driving back there, it wasn't even like a public road. It was more like you were driving through their parking lot, and then there's forklifts you had to go around and stuff. So it was never a great spot for public access.
But they built a large one just down the street, so it's yeah. But I got to charge there once as well, so that was kind of cool. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about X, formerly the Twitter. What has happened? This story was had indicated to us that from Tesla North as well that there will be a app coming to the Tesla screen in the car that X will run on. So we've heard about these other third-party apps. We've heard about Zoom, which is already implemented. Just recently, there was something about a new app that was coming as well. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but this X app is going to be like that as well. So I'm thinking the App Store is coming at some point. It's we're getting a few third-party apps that they're coming to the car, and this looks like it's going to be one of them. And keep in mind, X, formerly Twitter, is now changing and morphing. There's going to be some differences happening with it. I know that Elon had once talked about it being the WeChat of North America. So there could be a issue with what it's going to do. There's going to be other things that are going to happen with it. Maybe we'll get Patrick back too. But there was this many different things that are coming with X. There's Patrick, he's back. There's a number of different things that X is morphing into, and it'll be interesting to see how they roll that into the car and what it'll bring the car. But with that,
the whole X, or if they're just going to do the video portion,
right? Yeah, could be a number of things. Really, could be a number of things because it's also going to be a payment platform of some sort. So
I'd like a burger, please. Here's X.
exactly. Next, Model 3 Highland has been doing a bit of a European tour. It's been spotted recently in Germany, Spain, and most recently France. So it's, of course, one of the test versions that has the bra at the front and the back of the car, blinding us to what's really there. A number of different thoughts about. I've even heard the rear of the car. There's people saying that it's an actual light bar that runs completely across the tail of the car, and they believe that because they've got some photos of a car when it's braking and it's looking like some light is leaking through along the entire back. But again, all speculation at this point, but we will see shortly when the Highland release, because there just seems to be more and more of it. We've got a whole bunch of Highlands apparently that are blocked off in Shanghai that are covered with car covers sitting there. So don't know if these are test cars or what's going on with it, but Shanghai obviously looks like it's going to be the first to release. And I imagine that this car roaming through Europe has probably come from Shanghai originally. But we still haven't heard about an announcement of when it's coming. But man, there's a lot of sightings of it, and hopefully it will be soon.
And the Chinese wing of the Quad Squad has been grounded for a little while, so maybe
that's right. Last story Casey's got about Australia. And what have you got there, mate?
So Australia has a couple of superchargers, right? Half of them are now open to non-Teslas.
That's right.
They use CCS2 down there, so it was very easy to do. Just change some software rather than have to go and install a bunch of magic docks or something.
Exactly.
So,
63 total in Down Under, and 30 of them are now shared.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's great news. Again, it's spreading out. Ontario got its second magic dock. We talked about that last week. Well, they've got a second one that's the town over from, what was it, Deep River, Ontario, and now there's one in North Bay, Ontario. So it's starting to spread across the Trans-Canada. So always good to hear. And of course, those who don't own Teslas, they are really applauding it because now a reliable network is available for their vehicle to charge at.
Yeah. I've actually seen one of those Domino's bolts that David and Haki are talking about.
The delivery bolt. Yes.
Bolt. Didn't expect to see it here, of all places.
Patrick, your volume is off.
Oh, no. That explains why he was so quiet.
Nope, nothing. Well, with that, we'll go to Casey for some shout-outs as Patrick fools with his audio. See if we can get him back.
So on Sundays, we do a show about kind of like this, but expansion of topics there. And you can catch us at youtube.com/KCGreen. And hope to see you there. Sundays at 1:10 Eastern.
1:10. How did you come up with the time 1:10? You're going to start at not 1, not 2, 1:10.
Right. Well, I didn't want to start at 1 or 1:15 because then I would disappear with all the large creators. And I also wanted to be able to sleep in. So if I woke up late, I'd still be able to make it on time.
There you go. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
All right. I was going to make a joke with all the apps that Tesla's adding, from what they were saying in the chat there. If they add the Domino's app and they deliver to your location, you could just make sure that you drive away from them. And then they don't have the half hour or less or it's free mode. But
exactly.
If they did and you're in a Tesla, you're going to get that thing for free.
You're always 5 minutes away. Yeah. Well, with that, Patrick, you got some shout outs for this evening.
I do. As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at OEVA. And I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net. My latest story is one that I put out today called Sometimes Why, where since I just got a Y, I was trying to figure out how big the battery pack is in there. And it's not like the old days where Tesla just has a label on the back. So you'd think it'd be pretty easy to figure out. That was not the case. I went down a couple dead-end rabbit. So if you're curious, carswithcords.net, and you can find out what answer I got, and you can tell me if you think it's right or wrong, because I'm really curious.
He's usually right.
Here's what I did: is I actually had my sources, and I list my sources. Because just Googling it, I found a bunch of people with, I think it's this, I think it's that, I think it's 78.2. Based on what? That's not
Plus, it also probably why else would they stop putting it on there if nothing changed?
Yeah, and it could certainly change. Not putting it on there just means if they have new battery chemistry, things a little bit better, whatever they want to do, they have room to do that stuff. And we've seen them do this in the past. Is they'll make an improvement. They'll software lock it to what the old one was, and then they wait until all the old ones are flushed out of the chain through the pipeline, and then only then do they announce, "Hey, we've got this new coolness, and if you bought your car within the last couple weeks, we're pushing out an update. You might get whatever." So anyway, yeah. So check that out, carswithcords.net, and please comment. Let me know what you think and what you think the answer is. And if you have a better source, because I went to what I finally used was the documents that Tesla has to submit to the DEQ when they submit their test results. That means finally what I use is authoritative.
Better.
Very good, very good.
Folks on Hardware 4 have reported that some of them are getting 11.4.7 FSD beta.
Oh, I just did the download, and I'm only at 11.4.4. They're getting 0.7. So, oh man, how could I be 30 seconds into this and already be behind?
Welcome to
my goodness, that's terrible.
That's okay. Now that I've got it, I'll expect regular updates. So that's cool.
We'll be looking forward next week to hear how Patrick does his first FSD drive in the new Y. So
yeah.
With that, please follow us through the week on our feed on X, which of course is The Tesla Life. You can also follow us on our Facebook feed, The Tesla Life #1. And with that, we want to thank Patrick, we want to thank Casey, and thank you all for watching. Join with us next Wednesday when we find out what's happening in the Tesla Life.
Thank you, Lee Moon.
Stay positive, test negative.